Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This afternoon session is the Regenerative Future Brands Who Learn Lead. And we're going to start that in a second, but we're first going to do a little bit of polling. If you have your phone with you, if you have the Newtopia Now app, if you could open that up. If you go to the agenda and pull up this session, you'll see a little interaction button there. And then on the top right-hand corner, you should see polls. So if you go to the app and then go to the agenda and then click on this session, and then you'll see a little live interaction button and polls. So our first question we want to ask all of you is, have you been to, have you participated in or been to use Conscious Connections at this show? So we're wondering if you've used Conscious Connections at this show. Okay, perfect. I like the not yet, but I'm planning to. We've had great results with that. The Conscious Connections Lounge is over by the Represent neighborhood. And that's where your brands can meet up with retailers. I know there's some also investor connections as well. So it's really worth checking that out. There've been a lot of meetings there, and you can set up and actually talk and meet with retailers and people in the industry. So that's great. Okay. So glad. So if you haven't, check that out. And then our next question. Before we get started, it's not quite as uplifting. What percent of our land is degraded around the world? We have 15, 35, 75%, or 85%. And I think it might have said something in the promo, but the answer that Finian said was right was 75%. So that's why we need to have sessions like we're going to have today to talk about this and figure out what we're going to do about it. So I'm going to welcome up Finian now to lead the session. Do you want them?
I'll do this. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much, Nancy. Thanks, everyone. Newtopia Now. It's really, really exciting to be here with you all. My name is Finian Makepeace, and I'm one of the co-founders of an organization called Kiss the Ground. You might know about us from our work that has showed up on Netflix, the movie Kiss the Ground, narrated by Woody Harrelson. This work started about 11, 12 years ago for us, and it started in Venice, California, when myself and the other co-founder, Ryland Engelhart, had a life-changing moment. It was an deep aha experience that we can solve the climate, water, and human health crisis through soil. And as a lifelong activist at that point, everything else I was seeing was just how do we go off the cliff a little bit slower? Nothing matched the seriousness of the crises that we faced. Everything was just how do we do it a little better to make it so we don't all die a little bit faster. And it was pretty depressing. So when we learned about regenerative agriculture, what happened to us was this moment of awakening to the possibilities of regeneration. It was truly an awakening, and that became our mission, to awaken more people to the possibilities of regeneration. And we've been doing that for over a decade through things like our media, our education. But the heart of this work is really anyone can get connected to this idea. And today I'm really, really encouraged to make sure all of you feel fully connected to this idea. So we're known for our storytelling. That's what we do up front a lot with our films on Netflix, and our film Common Ground coming out with directors Josh and Rebecca Tickell this fall. But our storytelling is also short form media, many graphics, many resources that people can use to become more confident storytellers themselves. So it's empowering millions of people around the world to also share this story. Our education realize that people can be inspired all day, but until they get a depth into their education, they aren't as confident advocates or stewards of this movement themselves. They aren't contributors. So our education has been a focal point to allowing more people to contribute to this movement. And since the last 10 years have happened, there are countless times, and some of the people will be on stage sharing those stories in just a minute, but our work has been connecting people to be partners in this movement. But it just so happens at the end of this month, we're officially launching Kiss the Ground's partnership program, which is designed to work with brands that are leading, to work with new companies, to work with teams all over the world, so that they can be much more of a big contribution to the regenerative agriculture movement. This is the theory of change that our organization really funds itself on, is awareness leads to actions which lead to outcomes. The outcomes, of course, being that 75% of land that's degenerated being regenerated for climate, for wellness, for water, for biodiversity. But why I have awareness circled is that today I am imploring each of you to count yourself in on the awareness team for spreading the awareness that this movement needs you to spread. It literally needs way, 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 way more of us to jump on the court and start contributing and spreading the awareness, making more products available so that regenerative can be the next wave. So what does that mean? It means closing the knowledge gap. Education is that thing that can move someone from being inspired to being a participant because they get it. They live it, they understand it, and they can start speaking and acting on it. But it also means transforming the conversation. Because for too long, we've been stuck in a paradigm of how do we do a little less harm? What do we call that? Sustainability. Nice. It doesn't make sense anymore. 75% of the world's land is degraded. Sustaining at its best is going to sustain that. We have to regenerate, then we can sustain. What do we say? Sustainability is ahead of its time. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not the right time. We need regeneration now. So we have to transform that conversation. Here it is in a simple graphic. Wait, sustainability. Hold on. We need to do regeneration right now. We absolutely need it for resilience, for climate, for human health, for water. This is the problem. That's what it looks like. When land doesn't work, climate change really sucks. When land works, it's way, way better for everything. Water works. Biodiversity works. It starts to function again. The solution is regenerative agriculture because we can rebuild soil, taking the problem in our atmosphere, too much carbon, put it in the ground via plants, build it into healthy soil. We fix the wellness problem, nutrient-dense food. We fix the water problem. We have water infiltrating, absorbing, retaining. We have our springs come back. Our rivers are flowing again. We have the climate solution, not just for the resilience of climate and the cooling because there's a bunch of plants on the ground. We also have carbon in the soil. So what is your responsibility? I am able to respond by spreading awareness. Each and every one of you are too. And at a place like this where brands are getting involved and you have leaders who are about to step onto the stage showing you how you can do that, we're calling everyone to jump in and participate more. 5 or 6 years ago, we started this awesome project to educate people called Soil Advocate Training. It was a 9-hour course. We've trained 5,000 people from 30 different countries. You know what? It's a little bit too much for soil geeks. So this month, and then actual public announcement next month, but this month for brands only, and right now, we have a new course that's only 90 minutes. And we want to get that into your hand. This is an advertisement because I believe and I know that this type of a resource, can help you and your teams to actually understand this. I see people in the crowd here who I know they have teams, and there's like 7 people in their team who know what regenerative ag is. Everyone else is just going along with it. We all can change that, and we're here to help educate people into this next phase of this movement. I don't know if this has sound, but this is a little preview of the course. I don't know anyone on the planet who isn't concerned about this global warming. So, what's the answer? Drawdown, a point in which more carbon dioxide is being transformed into carbon in our biomass or carbon in our soil. We have an opportunity to be the people that shift the world. So it's on demand, it's live, it's ready to go for each of you to get 2 free codes today. You can work with Jackie or myself and get 2 free codes to take home to your team to test it out. So Kiss the Ground has another fun announcement that's coming at the end of this month. We've finally converted our work into impact. And this is the low, low, low bar of it. But very simply, $100 contributed to our nonprofit does turn into 10 acres of land moving into regenerative agriculture. And it's going to keep on building because we have more and more numbers coming in that are all substantiated. Please contact partnerships@kisstheground.com to learn more and get your free code. And thank you so much. We're going to have our amazing panel. Ryan Zinn from Dr. Bronner's. We have Christy Cariti, I hope I said that right, from Ancient Nutrition. And we have Carolyn from Applegate Farms. This is an amazing panel. I love all these people dearly and the work that their companies are doing. All right. So question, guys, is short statement. We don't have time for bios. We're just going to rush into the short statement is what is a quick history of what your team has done in regenerative, and then take us a quick fast forward to now. Ryan, we can start with you.
All right, I'll try to make it quick. I think I repeated this earlier today, but about 20 years ago, Dr. Bronner's made the commitment to sourcing certified organic raw materials, and that was a good, important first step. But we really had very little insight as to the conditions of farmers, farm workers, and factory workers. So that led us to set up vertically integrated supply chains all around the world, pioneering organic and fair trade coconut oil, palm oil, mint oil, olive oil, throughout primarily the global south, but here in the United States as well. And then as we headed into the early teens, it was really clear that we needed to continue to build upon that momentum, really looking down the barrel of climate change, especially in those communities and countries that are most impacted. So that led us really to consider this idea of how do we sort of incorporate our tactics on the ground with a broader movement. So we began by working with researchers. We partnered quite early with the Rodale Institute and others. One of the big sort of catalysts was working with Kiss the Ground and Ryland and Finian to be able to figure out how do we sort of make this sort of like seed into a much broader movement. At which point we thought that it was good to be able to sort of reflect some of those experiences in a much more broader certification. So we partnered up with the Rodale Institute, Patagonia, and other stakeholders to launch the ROC, the Regenerative Organic Certification, starting back in 2015, building upon organic certification because we wanted something that was accountable, built upon an existing movement, but also incorporated animal welfare and social fairness. So fast forward to today, we'll have about 25 ROC certified raw material or supply chains come online by the end of the year. And we're really excited to be able to support all of the fine efforts here at the show.
So regenerative agriculture is super important to our founders, Jordan Rubin and Dr. Josh Axe, and they own more than 4,000 regenerative organic certified acres. And since 2009, they were doing education, permaculture, all the things before regenerative was actually a buzzword. And what we looked to do was how do we take that and put it through a brand like Ancient Nutrition to be able to help to tell the story. So selling the product is to actually tell a story of health and hope. And what we do with our regenerative organic certified SKUs is it acts as a North Star for us. It's not everything that we're able to do, but it is about 30 plus regenerative organic certified supplements that are now in the marketplace. And we're just really excited to be able to continue to educate and use the platform of a brand to tell this story and educate on this important topic.
Awesome. Hey guys. Yeah. So our mission is changing the way we eat. And so since the beginning, that's been our ethos, this idea of continuous improvement, evolution, challenging ourselves. And so for our entire history, that's what we've been working on. A lot of you guys can relate to this, being probably mission-based brands, but we sort of flipped the script of what the value proposition is of, solving a problem for a consumer versus solving a problem for the greater good in society. And when you take that approach, you're kind of road less traveled. You're kind of pushing to get something out there before it really takes hold. And so that's been our journey with things like no antibiotics ever, animal welfare, organic meats, and just, kind of changing the processed meats category to clean it up in general. And I've been lucky enough to take over a program from Gina Nagel, who was the head of mission for Applegate for 25 years, so crazy amount of time, who really launched us into regenerative agriculture. And in 2021, we launched our first product, regen product, hot dog, Do Good Dog. And from those learnings, really, again, still an uphill battle, but instead, if we weren't a mission-driven brand, we would say, all right, that didn't work. We're gonna just throw in the towel. But instead, we're doubling down on that because there's so much problem to be solved, and Regen Ag is the way to do it.
Thank you. Another round of applause. But why the cheers are so important is we just went really quickly, but these are Herculean efforts that these companies have done in the face of doubt and people in the company who didn't believe. But Ryan, in our talk, we'll keep going down the same way just so it's a little easier, but starting this off, why was it so important to have this deep conviction to educating and learning from the get-go, and what are some of the examples of how you guys got through that and how it showed up in the company this goes for all three of you, starting with you, Ryan. How'd that show up?
Yeah, thanks, Finian. So, to be honest, I'm super lucky. I work at a company that has a very deep and long commitment to regenerative, organic, fair trade, animal welfare advocacy, and so we didn't actually have to make the case necessarily that this would be a good sort of target to focus on. It's in a way baked into our DNA, and so we actually have resources. I am one member of 10 people, of a 10-person team. Our department is called Special Operations, only because when we created it 15 years ago, there wasn't a real name for it, so we thought it was tongue-in-cheek, and then the name stuck, so alas, here we are. But it was really critical for us to be able to provide what I like to call wraparound services for all of our partners. So our team is made up of agronomists, people that understand certification, but also financing, engineering, and process and manufacturing, because to get from the farm gate to a final product, holy cow, are there some hurdles. And so we wanted to make sure that same values were built in throughout the supply chain. That's one thing that oftentimes is overlooked. It's like, we focus a lot on the farm gate, and rightly so, but it's really that primary processing, or it's the slaughterhouse, or it's the packaging side of things that we want to make sure that those same values are embedded in. But to be honest with you, we learned a lot along the way, mostly because we screwed up a ton. And so luckily we were able to sort of build upon those mistakes, in large part because we had that long-term commitment really through our fair trade ethos. And so that means, despite all of the challenges you go to, is sticking with a supplier or partner to learn from all of your mistakes, but also make that investment so your partners on the ground can make that same type of investment and commitment as well.
And a really quick plug, I got to see that short video you guys had, and there's many more, but the livelihood of the farmers and the folks that you guys are sourcing from have also seen this windfall of what regeneration means. And that's another huge testament, not just the environment side, but actually on the farmer side of what this means for their long term to be in business with Dr. Bronner's. But over to you.
Sure. So our mission is to save the world with superfoods, and for us, education for not only our internal team but customers helps to give the how behind the why, and being able to do, like we did the Soil Advocate program for our entire team, and being able to have people have that conversation and understand why they're doing what they're doing really helps infiltrate the entire organization, and then it gets people excited about what we are doing.
Yeah, and I'd say, it's all about the team that we have, and everybody has to really make something happen. And we're lucky that most of the people that work with us are already passionate about the mission, mostly because they care about what they eat and their personal health. And so it's kind of it's easy for them to get excited about educating themselves on the mission. And so we can bring the education to them throughout the year, and then use our gatherings as a team to educate everyone on the team. As you get bigger as a brand, you get more people, and not everybody has the same background and doesn't necessarily have all the knowledge about food systems or sustainability that might be inherent to your mission. And so there's a little more education to bring out in those areas. And I think, what I love about Regenerative is the philosophy behind it is, while it's a very complex topic, the philosophy of it is something that everybody can understand, and it resonates with them, because it's this idea that we are building our food brand around a nature-based system. And the way nature works is pretty intuitive for people to just kind of get. And so I think that really jazzes people up, and enables them to do their job better.
Awesome, thank you all. And they're all being very modest here of the roles they play in these companies to keep this going in the face of so many odds and challenges, especially creating this marketplace, which is, for many of us who've been in this since 10, 12, 13 years ago, it's amazing to watch it happen and to be here at Newtopia seeing how much is already resonating and through brands. But for folks here who might be newer to this and or excited, maybe they saw something about Regenerative, they're talking about inside their company. This time we'll go this way, but can you give, for the audience members, any sense of hope? Do they have to have their CEO or their founders or somebody fully engaged? Or if not, how important is it to be that beacon, or to be that rock that people connect to? Like, share with us a little bit about what it means to hold the reins, carry the reins, bring the energy. What do you recommend, or how do you help people navigate this within their own teams or companies?
Yeah, so for us, it's definitely crucial to have our president be on board with our mission and the things that we're doing with our mission, because we make business decisions based on our mission. It's critical to our whole business model. And so if our president didn't understand that, then it would be a totally different story. He absolutely does and is 100% bought in, but that's not the case with every company. And if small or large, I think it's good practice to always be making the business case for these things, taking this values-based approach and put it on paper. Make it make sense to anybody, because this is the only way forward. And so you have to, as the person who's passionate about it, might be the one to have to pull out those numbers, or make it, pencil out, and make people believe that the investment you make today might pay off 5 years from now, and not next quarter. But it's like, just that person who has the passion has to be the one to make everybody else see what they see, and that's a challenge. But that's how this stuff gets moved forward.
But you're saying it can be you, meaning you or any of these people.
It can be anybody. Yeah. Absolutely.
I would agree with that. I would say all of the above. Obviously, it's easier when it comes from the top down, but anyone in any organization can do this, because it's something that can start as a committee, and it's a groundswell, and it's something that people can get excited about. And I think all too often we get stuck in this huge overwhelm, and you just have to get started. Do the next best thing, and in commerce, the next best thing makes big results. So I think that's the key, is not to get overwhelmed. Get started, stay passionate, and look forward to it. It's super fun.
I love that you just said that, because on the side stage they were speaking just a minute ago about this kind of wave that's coming with some of the sustainability demands for companies. And where are they going to look to? They're going to look to the people who started within and had the committees, or they did it, or they got the certifications. They're going to say, what did you guys do? They're going to be looking over at one of your three companies. Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, actually, yeah, that's a great point, Finian, because to be able to scale at the speed required to make an impact, we really need to collaborate in many different ways. And so whether that's like joint ventures on supply chains or just sharing knowledge and skills when it comes to certification or any of that stuff, I think is absolutely critical. And just to add on to what you both mentioned, it's great to have leadership at the top that really believes in the mission. But my kind of approach and pitch to other brands is like, I look at like regenerative organic as a framework to sort of build in resiliency into your supply chain. And so that's more dollars and cents in a way than like a marketing, slogan, for example. And I think in that regard, looking from now and towards the future, there is so much, I would say, just disruption around the world that there's no real way to approach this and de-risk your supply chains without embedding regeneration from the farm gate onwards.
Yeah, Ryan literally stole the last question here, but that's the next question. Aside from the things that you might think the consumers or the climate-friendly people are concerned with, water, wellness, climate, these are some of the nuts and bolts things. Let's get in that, but I want to make one quick point. COP21, which was years ago now, I was in France, and you had the head of Nestle saying, we finally realized that our farmers are part of our company because we're losing 30 farmers a year because their land's so degraded and they're going so far in debt that they can't farm anymore. So they had an aha moment of, wow, we got to consider our farmers a part of our whole supply chain and our company. But in regeneration, let's talk about what this means, dollars and cents, but also food security. Like, for all of your different lines here, how important is this for the future?
I mean, it sounds like it's super obvious, but if we don't do this, we have nothing. So again, it's not we're looking at it as a marketing message or that we need to be looking at it from a profitability standpoint. But if we do not do this, we don't get to sit here. We don't get to sell our products. So it's very important.
Yeah, and it starts with, understanding what's happening on the farm. And so I think just making the leap to go regen, you're making that commitment to say, I'm going to find out what's going on the farms and understand what are the pain points for the farmers. And that's traceability in your supply chain. That's so valuable. That is like huge. And so the closer you can get to your source of ingredients, the better. And I'll say, from the internal team perspective, getting them jazzed about this topic means they'll be more innovative, and the team as a whole, the company, will be more agile. It's just really a way to a culture. It's a company culture, and that really has the momentum needed to kind of bring it forward.
And I want to point out, you're going to mention it in a second here, but when it comes to meat, a lot of our rangeland here in the United States especially is in the West. And the droughts every year have just been exponentially going up. And we're seeing time and time again these vast acreage points where when people are converting over to regenerative, they are putting themselves in a different bracket of how resilient they are to drought, how much they're not having to cull or push off their herd size. So this investment from a brand means so much for these people who are out doing the work on the land. Like, that commitment is saving future ranchers. I mean, and even in some of these regions where, Ryan, you guys are sourcing from, or Ancient Nutrition, like, you're dealing with the difference of 10 years out from now, either this family farm or this region, they're out cold, they're done, or they're going to be able to keep doing this as a livelihood, as a profession. So these are things that we're on the balance right now. Things are so dire that we're literally there. So this is where these companies jumping in, going all the way, it really means a lot. It's literally our future, the food supplies, the security of a food and water future is because brands are stepping in, investing, doing uncomfortable things is so important, and we're inviting all you to do that. But last question is, what's on the horizon? Some points are right down the line on what's coming up for you guys. You can start, Carolyn.
I mentioned the Do Good Doug hot dog, and that we're now doubling down. So we've decided to transition our entire beef hot dog line, organic, non-organic, over to regenerative, certified regenerative farms by the end of 2025. And that'll be more than 6 million acres transitioned over to regen.
Woo!
That's a lot.
Goosebumps. What do you got?
It's amazing. So we are launching the first ever regenerative organic certified probiotics, both in the cooler and shelf stable, and we're really excited about that. And we'll continue to save the world with superfoods with amazing ingredients, and including regenerative organic certified ingredients wherever we can.
That's awesome. So I think for us, short term, we'll be doing a full brand relaunch of our iconic liquid soap. And that will be made with all regenerative organic certified oils going forward. And that is really sourcing from about 10,000 small scale farmers with tens of thousands of acres. So we're super excited about that.
Who uses that soap? It's going to be Regen. That's that, and this is awesome. I mean, this is incredible to think 10 years ago when we began having these conversations with so many people who are in the room, but so many people who are leaders in this. I want to take a moment to recognize that this leadership that now people see as what happened started because we had a vision. We got hooked. We saw what regenerative is. It hit us. It made the most sense. And now we've seen 10 years later what that means for what's available in the marketplace, what's coming. So I want to thank all of you so much. Do we have time for one more question? Are we? No, we're done. But thank you all so much. This has been incredible. KissTheGround.com. For each brand here at New Hope, we're offering 2 trial codes to Regenerative Agriculture Essentials, and we want to have a meeting with you and your team about a partnership that can help you get the story out, get your team educated, and get you moving and contributing into regenerative ag. This movement is alive and well. You're not too late. You're at the right time to get involved and jump all the way in. So thank you so much.